Welcome back to the Chromperfect Beginner Training Series. We are about to start Chapter 6, which completes Section 2, where we have been learning about Chromperfect methods and files. In Section 1, we introduced the A-test method during a controlled validation run. That exercise confirmed communication between the acquisition service and the user interface, verified instrument connectivity, and ensured that files were created correctly. In this chapter, we adapt that same A-test configuration for a real chromatographic acquisition. This is not a method-building tutorial. It is a controlled application demonstration that ties together the core concepts from Section 2. Before we begin, let's recap an important aspect we covered earlier in this section. Almost all settings within our method have no effect on the integrity of the resulting data files. There is, however, one important exception and 3 method settings which can result in a failed chromatography run, and the only situation where you will need to rerun your sample. These settings are under the Acquisition tab and the Acquisition Parameters block. They are data samples per second, commonly referred to as sampling rate, the runtime, and acquire from channel, commonly called detector source. So that is where we will start. I have our A-test method open within the File Editor program. Navigate to the acquisition settings and make a change to the runtime to reflect a time which allows all your peaks to elute. For my example, I am going to change the runtime to 10 minutes. The next step is to ensure your sampling rate correctly matches your analysis. We have covered this in depth in an earlier chapter. In my case, 5 points per second should be fine and give me 10 to 20 data points across my narrowest peaks. Finally, my method will be used on both single detector and dual detector instruments. For this example, I will use channel A only. Next, if you want to change the instrument settings, you should select your instrument setpoint file in the box. Be sure that you have selected the correct file type to match your instrument. Downloading a setpoint file is optional, and it will first mean that you must complete the upload process and create the file as we discussed in the last chapter. In my example, I am using a 7890 GC, and I will use a setpoint file I created called myfirstsetpoint.m78. You can edit your setpoint file manually by clicking the Open button. Briefly open the Processing tab. If this were a calibration method, the calibration file would be referenced here. In this example, no calibration file is assigned. That is intentional. Calibration fundamentals will be covered in a later section. Another important setting to observe within the Processing tab is that by default, the option to create a bound or BND file is selected. If you remember Chapter 2 in this section, you should know the benefits BND offers over raw data files. For that reason, it is recommended that you never change this setting. Next, as we have created our new method file, which may be used going forward, let's save it using a meaningful name. Click on the File pull-down menu, select Save As, browse to your chosen directory, and choose a file name. I am going to call my method my first method. Chromperfect will automatically create the file with the correct extension, .met. Close the method editor. At this point, it is important to clarify a key principle from earlier in Section 2. You may either use a method file with external supporting files, or you may use a solution file that contains those sections internally. You do not use both at the same time. The choice depends on laboratory workflow. For that reason, let us now open the A-test solution file in the Solution File Editor and observe how the same changes would be implemented there. Follow along as I quickly make these changes on screen. I will save this modified configuration as a new solution file called My First Solution. Again, Chromperfect will automatically create the extension, this time SOL. The functional outcome is identical. In one case, we have a method file referencing an external setpoint file. In the other case, the solution file contains both sections internally. Acquisition behavior does not change. The acquisition service interprets both configurations in the same way. Now we will examine how each can be downloaded in the data acquisition program. Open the acquisition client. First, select the instrument and download the modified method file. If digital instrument control is active, confirm that the instrument acknowledges the download. If analog acquisition is being used, confirm that the correct channel is active. Start the acquisition. This can be done from the software by right-clicking the instrument row in the spreadsheet and clicking Start, or from the instrument control icon, often called the TV remote. Alternatively, Chromperfect will start automatically when the instrument starts either via a manual or auto-sampler injection. Observe the real-time plot. The runtime counter will increase until the runtime is reached. The channel signal should appear as expected. Allow the run to complete. When acquisition ends, the status will change back to ready, meaning processing has completed. Browse to your chosen directory and confirm that a raw and BND data file have been created. Verify that both files are stored in the correct directory as defined by the instrument's data settings. Now repeat the process, this time downloading the modified solution file instead of the method file. Start the acquisition again. Observe that the behavior is identical. Allow the run to complete and confirm raw file creation and BND file creation once again. Now we can open both BND files in the Analyze program. To open multiple files, simply browse to your directory and select the files by clicking while holding down the Control key on the keyboard. No peaks were named. This is expected because no calibration file was referenced. Acquisition has occurred correctly, but identification and quantitation have not been defined. You will need to continue through the Chromperfect Beginner Training Series to learn about this later. Congratulations! You have now completed Section 2 and should have a solid understanding of how Chromperfect methods and associated files work together. In this section, we have covered file types and data structure. We examined raw versus bound files. We defined what a method file controls. We clarified the relationship between method files and solution files. We explained set point files and instrument control. And finally, we demonstrated a complete controlled acquisition using both configuration models. This marks an important milestone. You now understand how Chromperfect structures acquisition and how those structures behave during a real run. In the next section, we shift focus from acquisition to working with data inside the Analyze program, including integration, calibration, and reporting. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you are updated when we upload new videos. For more information or to reach out to our team, please visit www.chromeperfect.com.